In today's video, we're going to be going over the ancient philosophies of war and seeing how those lessons can be implemented into your everyday life so you can strategize to defeat your enemies. Now, the book that we're going to be going over today is called The Art of War. Keep in mind, some of the verbiage may be extreme because this was a military book, but a lot of the lessons can be implemented and translated into everyday lessons in real life. So in today's video, in no order, we're going to be going over 3 main lines that Sun Tzu states in his book. So line number 1, if your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak that he may grow arrogant. Now we can look at real life examples of this. Everybody knows the Rockefellers, multi-billion-dollar conglomerate monopolies back in the day. Well, how did Rockefeller come to be? Back in the late mid-1800s, there was a man named Maurice Clark who was in need of a business partner, and he happened to find a man called John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller was 18 years old at the time, but he decided to go into business with Maurice because he saw the potential in oil. Now, Clark had an extreme temper issue. He was prone to blowing up very fast, and Rockefeller knew this and exploited it to his advantage. While Maurice picked Rockefeller because of his account-keeping skills and the money that he had to start a business, he was very irritated by Rockefeller's demeanor. Rockefeller was calm, nerdy, and a pencil pusher, while Maurice was a very arrogant person who wanted things done quickly. He blew up on people and he wanted things done his way. Rockefeller knew this about Maurice, and Maurice would often blow up on him because of how Rockefeller presented himself. He would get sick of his nerdy demeanor. Well, Rockefeller understood this, and he kept being the nerd that he knew that was pissing off Maurice, to the point where he hoped that he would keep blowing up on him so he can force him out of the business. For the last time, Maurice blew up on Rockefeller and said, "We should split up." Rockefeller then said, "I think that's a great idea." Then the two would go on to bid for the rights of the company. Rockefeller ended up destroying Maurice in the bidding. And then, as history has it, Rockefeller goes on to starting Standard Oil, becomes the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate monopoly that everybody knows him as today, written in history books, while Maurice lost complete control of the company because he let his anger get in the way. Rockefeller was able to exploit his anger so he can get full control of the company by the man that even brought him into the business, asking him to be the partner in the first place. Going back from the line of Sun Tzu, if you understand that somebody has an anger temperament, expose it to your advantage. This way you can force them to do things that they'll eventually regret. Line number 2. Sun Tzu states, there are no instances of a country benefiting from prolonged warfare. Now let's translate that into something that we can apply to today. In 1915, there were 2 fruit companies that were competing for this specific land in Central America. One of them was United Fruit and the other one was Zemurry's small startup company. Now, United Fruit was an extremely powerful, large company with a lot of capital, while Zemurry was a very small company that didn't have that many funds. Now, there was an issue with the land that they were trying to bargain for. There were 2 separate locals of that land, both claiming that they had equal rights to the land that they were trying to sell. So there wasn't one seller, there was 2. United Fruit understood this and tried to take Zemurry into a long-lasting lawsuit, knowing that Zemurry's company wouldn't have the funds to last it. So what did Zemurry do? He went to both of the locals that were claiming that they had the right to that land, and he purchased both deeds for the same piece of land from 2 separate people. Why did he do this? What was the point of this? He paid twice for the same piece of land. Well, because he did this, he avoided a long-lasting battle he knew he could not afford in court. So the company that was bigger, United Fruit, tried to take the smaller company and prolong the warfare, knowing that the smaller company couldn't afford the long-lasting litigation. Zemurry understood that they wouldn't last, so what they did was they bought both pieces of land. Yes, it was pricier up front in the moment, but long-lasting, they were able to survive this and produce off of the land they eventually got. And line 3 of Sun Tzu's book says, it is the business of the general to be quiet and thus ensure secrecy, upright and just and thus maintain order. So how can we apply this into real life today? People use many different social media platforms, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, name them, they're there. They use them as places to vent. People understand that if you want to see what's going on in someone's personal life, you can probably log on to Twitter and you'll see them complaining about something. But when you do that, you're teaching people what is important to you. There's a way to do this right and there's a way to do this wrong. If you're simply just venting to vent, which a lot of people do, you're teaching people how to take advantage of you. You're teaching them what gets under your skin, so they can play that, if they're smart, to their advantage. The general in this case is you. You need to be more secret and concealed so people have less ammunition to fire at you when it's time for war. You're practically giving somebody the keys to unlocking their way to bother you. Being more reserved, on the other hand, makes it harder for people to try to figure out all these things that are of interest to you and try to manipulate you for it. Now, those were the 3 quick main points in no particular order of Sun Tzu's book. I really hope that it was interesting to you. There were a lot of other main points in this book. I really recommend it if you're an entrepreneurial-minded person in the world of business. There's a lot of things that can be translated in how to defeat your enemies, your opponents, competition, all of that. So comment down below a book that you would like me to read. I will gladly do so. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and please share with friends and family. I really appreciate it if you do so. With that said, thank you so much. I'll see you next week.